'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the theater, no popper was popping, no drinks sold, not a leader. But sitting alone in Auditorium 8 was a strapping young lad, and another just like him in a different state.
Welcome to Cinemaholic Productions.
How's it going, everybody? Merry Christmas. Welcome to Cinemaholic Productions. My name is Spencer Henderson, and I am a Cinemaholic.
I'm Ryan Gordon, and I am a Cinemaholic.
We have an awesome show for you guys today. And today we are actually going to be talking about our favorite holiday movies. We're going to start the month of December off by telling you guys what Christmas movies you should be watching to prepare yourself for the holidays. And speaking of beginning of December, our very own Ryan Gordon has just had a birthday yesterday. So bear with me, buddy, but here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you.
Aw, thank you. 24. I'm the
24. Did you do anything fun for your birthday?
Actually, good segue for those people living in Utah around Provo. I'm in a play, so that's why my watch list is not existent this week. I've been performing like every day, and I'm going to continue. So that's what I did on my birthday. I did a matinee performance, and then I went to work at night. So nothing exciting, but we get to have this episode today for my birthday.
Yeah. And also, another thing I want to mention in movie news is that I saw your post on Facebook yesterday about the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. Why don't you real briefly just tell me what you thought of the trailer? Does it look as good as the first one? Because I don't watch trailers.
Right. No, I saw that you had posted about that too, and I'll tell you, this one may be one that you could break that rule for, because just the gist of it, I felt like it's all stuff that's in the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the film. I could see this being the very, very opening scene, and it's hilarious. It looks fantastic. James Gunn posted it, and I was like, yes, best birthday present ever. It looks so fun. It has some specific shots with Baby Groot that I think are going to own the film, and I think that it's going to step it up from the last one. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Excellent. I actually did see a screen shot of Baby Groot. He is so adorable. He looks like a little Pixar character.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm really, really curious to see if they can live up to the first movie. But anyways, getting back into this episode, guys, if you want to skip ahead to any part in this video, there will be timestamps down in the description. Since Ryan has nothing on his watch list except for the play, which if you live in Utah, you should go check out. Just go ahead and contact him about how to attend that play. But if you want to skip ahead to my watch list or to just see what we're going to be talking about as far as Christmas movies go, then go ahead in the description. The timestamps will be posted there. And briefly, we wanted to give a shout out to our Blu-ray contest winners. Stephen Perry and Emily Ingersoll won the Blu-rays. Stephen won the Kubo and the 2 strings, and Emily won the Blu-ray for Eddie the Eagle. And the way that we actually determined who the winners were was we went for the comments with the most likes on that video at the time of when we set the deadline for, which was Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And I believe they both had 4 likes on their comments, so we decided to end up going with those people. We will be doing more giveaways, guys. We're going to be doing one every month, so be prepared for another one, and just get creative with those answers, because we really want to give our audience stuff and be interactive with our audience, and we want you guys to be interactive with us, so feel free to comment. And
so I was just going to suggest on this one, maybe in the comments below, we want to hear about your favorite Christmas movies, as well as give us a suggestion of what you would like the question to be for January. Maybe we'll take that into effect when we're doing that. Maybe we've got our own ideas, but comment down below. Let us know now.
Absolutely. One more thing I want to mention before I get into my watch list, and that is I want to give a shout out to Joseph Cupits, who is the actor who played Santa Claus in this week's introduction video. And I also want to give a shout out to Craig Chapitis, who played the theme song and provided the theme song for that video. We had a lot of fun making it. I really appreciate the help that we got to make this video. That being said, let's get into my watch list. The first thing I'm actually going to be starting with is a little bit different. I'm going to be starting by talking about a video game. A couple weeks ago, you talked about a book. And so now I'm actually going to try to see how it is. Comment, tell me if you guys want to hear more thoughts on video games because I play video games every now and then. I dabble a little bit. And this one is a first-person shooter called Titanfall 2. It was on sale on PlayStation Network over Black Friday. So I purchased it, and this game is freaking amazing. It's probably the best first-person shooter involving killing that I've played since Half-Life 2, I'd imagine, which Half-Life 2, widely considered as one of the greatest shooters of all time. This stands up there with that. There are so many amazing set pieces in this game. I'm not really one to play a ton of first-person shooters as far as like campaigns go. I think the campaigns for first-person shooters are usually pretty weak. This game completely blew me away. My only complaint with it is it's a little bit too short. I won't be scoring it. I just think that if you have a console, an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or a PC, check out Titanfall 2. It is well worth your time. So the next movie I'm going to be talking about is the people at work are really keeping me busy with my watch list by recommending me stuff. I got recommended The 13th Warrior, which is directed by John McTiernan and stars Antonio Banderas. So I'm quickly going to read the plot summary on IMDb. It says, a man having fallen in love with the wrong woman is sent by the Sultan himself on a diplomatic mission to a distant land as an ambassador. Stopping at a Viking village port to restock on supplies, he finds himself unwittingly embroiled on a quest to banish a mysterious threat in a distant Viking land. This movie was directed by John McTiernan, who actually has a movie I'll be talking about a little bit later in this episode. And this movie was a lot of fun. I had a really, really good time with The 13th Warrior. I had not heard of it previously before I was recommended it, but it's just a really overall fun action movie. My flaws with the movie would be, I think the performances are a little bit weak, and I think the final confrontation is a little bit underwhelming. But other than that, I had a really good time with The 13th Warrior. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It was a fun movie that I enjoyed. Have you heard of this movie, Ryan? Have you seen it?
No, I've never even heard of it. I love Antonio Banderas, so it's one that maybe down the line I'll check out. Seems pretty fun.
I would recommend it. It's a pretty fun movie. So speaking of fun movies, the next movie that I'm going to be talking about is actually The Handmaiden, which this is a movie that was released this year, 2016, and it's directed by Park Chan-wook, who did Old Boy, and he did Stoker. Have you seen any of Park Chan-wook's movies, Ryan?
Old Boy, yeah.
You've seen Old Boy. Okay. So I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I vaguely remember a couple weeks ago, me and Ryan had a discussion about a movie, and it was this movie, thinking back on it a little bit more. I wish I would have done research before going into this movie. This movie was so jarring to just walk into without knowing much about it. What I will say is the first hour of this movie, I was not digging it at all, guys. I was really not into it. It was really gratuitous, I felt, particularly one scene that they decide to show twice in the movie, by the way. And wow, just one of the most gratuitous scenes ever put to film, in my opinion. That being said, there's a certain point in this movie where I out loud said, what? What? Did that really just happen? And I feel almost, I can't recommend this movie to anybody. I can't, in good spirits, say, hey guys, go check out The Handmaiden. It's a real fun watch, because it really, really is not a fun watch. There's lots of really, as I said, gratuitous things in this movie, but the plot had me so wrapped up in it that I can't say I didn't enjoy this movie at least a little bit. I'm going to give The Handmaiden a 7.5 out of 10. I know Ryan was thinking of watching this movie. Our conversation yesterday kind of talked him out of seeing it, and I totally understand, guys. This movie's super, super jarring, super, super gratuitous, as I said. I was telling Ryan, it made the movie Shame with Michael Fassbender, if you've seen that. It made that look like My Little Pony or something. There's one scene that was just crazy in this movie. But go ahead and tell me a little bit about your turmoil of considering watching this movie.
So I've been back and forth on it so much because I've heard really good things about it. It premiered at Cannes, and Alicia Malone had done a review about it. And one thing that I had heard a lot about is this kind of compared to Blue is the Warmest Color, is that during both of these movies, you can tell that it's a male director in the way that these gratuitous scenes are portrayed. It's portrayed very sexual from a male perspective of a lesbian scene, and it goes overboard from what I've heard and kind of from what you were saying. I looked into it. I was going to go see it like 3 weeks ago, but then I looked up more and why it was rated NC-17, and compared to Shame, I was like, nah, I don't think I can make it through this. This is not my kind of a thing. That being said, like you said, I've heard it's very artsy and beautiful. Cinematography is beautiful. So if you can handle that kind of stuff, by all means, go do it. But I don't feel this movie will be cracking my top 10 at the end of the year. It did have gorgeous cinematography. It's just, I don't know if I can really, like, I could never sit through this movie again. I never would even think about sitting through it again. It's kind of reminded me a little bit of Old Boy in the sense that after you see Old Boy, you're like, okay, once was enough. That one took me on like a roller coaster of like, what, no, please, no, what? And then this movie does a lot of the same. I think it doesn't have quite the ending that Old Boy has. I probably enjoyed Old Boy more, but there's tons to like in The Handmaiden. There's tons to admire, and I'm not overall upset that I saw it. So that being said, that wraps up my watch list. You don't have anything else to add, Ryan? Yeah, really quick. This is catching you off guard because we didn't talk about it. You got to see Manchester by the Sea already.
I did.
Will you give us a reaction face? Just as a precursor to next week's episode, where we're going to be talking about that and Office Christmas Party.
Okay. So I thought a little bit about mentioning something about Manchester by the Sea. So real briefly, all I'm going to say about it is this. I am going to have to reconstruct my top 10 favorite movies of all time. That's all I'm going to say. So get pumped for it. The review, when we talk about it next week, is going to be a review to come back and watch.
I personally, I have seen the trailer, but you texted me and told me not to watch the trailer. It was long enough ago that I don't remember it beat by beat. But for those of you out there, this is one to put on your radar. And he warned me. He's seen it. Don't watch the trailer. I don't feel like they've pushed the trailer very much. There's only one trailer, so don't go searching for it. This is one of those movies that you'll want to go and see without watching a trailer. So
how Allied kind of spoiled everything except the very last thing that happens in the movie. There's only one big thing in Manchester by the Sea that they do not reveal in the trailer. They reveal two extremely emotional scenes that hit me like a ton of bricks watching it. And I wish they wouldn't have shown those scenes in the trailer because they're two of the best scenes in the entire movie.
Wow.
So, and one more thing I want to say, we don't have to see any more lead actor performances this year because the Oscar is going to be given to Casey Affleck. That being said, let's transition into our favorite Christmas movies, which me and Ryan both came up with a list of 5. I have a couple honorable mentions I want to real briefly rattle off. So Gremlins is just a super, super fun Christmas movie that I really love. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a fun holiday movie. It's not Christmas, but that's based in Thanksgiving, so I kind of count that as a holiday film. And the last one I want to talk about briefly is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's just one of my favorites. I love to watch that movie. It's hilarious. Randy Quaid's performance, his cousin Eddie, is really, really funny. And then one more honorable mention I want to go a little bit more into depth about is The Muppets Christmas Carol. And this movie is just magical. I can't not mention this movie. Michael Caine is cast as Ebenezer Scrooge, which is just a perfect casting choice. And the musical numbers in this movie are great. My family has a tradition to watch this movie every year, and the musical numbers are so catchy that we often find ourselves singing along with The Muppet Christmas Carol. Have you seen this one, Ryan?
I have, and I didn't necessarily have a honorable mentions list prepared, but that was one, and Nightmare Before Christmas. They were both ones that I considered putting on my list, but didn't make the cut because I wanted to go personally for more of not so, I don't want to say generic, but I feel like that those two are more well-known Christmas ones, and I definitely wanted to highlight some that are personal traditions of mine. So those ones didn't make the list, though they are both great.
Perfect. So speaking of your list, why don't you go ahead and go over your first movie on your list, your number 5?
Number 5. So we do want to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll start with It's a Wonderful Life. Definitely lowest on the list.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I'll do that one later. Number 5 on my list is going to be Charlie Brown's Christmas. I really love this movie. The reason I'd put it 5 on my list is just because I've found myself recently, maybe in the last 2 years, not as anxious to see this one during the holiday season, though it's definitely a classic. And I'm pretty sure I've watched it every single year. It's always on TV. And I think probably a majority of the ones on my list you can always catch. They're always on some TV station during the year. So this one is just, all of the Charlie Brown movies are just very heartfelt. And I've always enjoyed them. Very classic in the way that they can take. And actually, that's something that I wanted to say about all of them is a lot of these Christmas movies are really good at taking a broad issue in society and then narrowing it down into how the holidays and how love and family and community can overcome these issues. And I feel like the Peanuts movies have always been able to do that. Is this on your list? Do you have any comment?
It sure is. I'll be getting back to this one later. What I will say is the issues you're talking about with Charlie Brown, it's like the best part of Charlie Brown Christmas is it's really about depression, guys. Like, it's about dealing with depression during the holiday season. And the Peanuts always is super insightful about that type of an issue, I suppose. And so, yeah, I'll be talking about that one a little bit later. Let's get into my number 5, which is actually going to be Santa Claus is Coming to Town. This is one of the original TV classics with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the little drummer boy. And this one's my favorite of them, particularly because of how the story's kind of structured. I've always really enjoyed the way that this movie kind of plays out. It's stop motion, and it was back in the day where stop motion was kind of sloppy, but that makes it more endearing to me. And I really, really just find a connection to the characters in this movie. Lots of it might be nostalgia covered glasses, but this movie is just so much fun. There's so many great musical numbers. Fred Astaire plays the narrator of the story and sings several times throughout it, and it's just warms my heart. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, this one and Frosty the Snowman and stuff I considered as well for this and my honorable mentions, but I haven't seen them in years. And so I was kind of the same thing. I was like, did I like them so much because of nostalgia? I haven't seen them in a while, so I don't think I'd necessarily recommend them because they're not fresh on my mind. But they're both of those are definitely enjoyable. Do you have any more comments on that, or can I move on to my four?
Well, just briefly, all I wanted to say was I go back every year, and this is one of those movies that I actually watched this one alone. I have, like, since I was really young. I watched this at my grandpa's house one time alone, and since then this has been one of the only Christmas movies that I will sit down and watch alone. One of the only. I'll be talking about another one later that I watch alone. But yeah,
Handmaiden.
Handmaiden. Okay. Why don't you get into your number 4?
Okay. My number 4 is going to be Home Alone. This one is I acknowledge that it's probably not the best movie for the holidays, but nostalgia for this one. It came out around the same time I was born, and so it's always just kind of been there. And this is the one that I know I have watched at least once or twice every single year. It's so fun and clever, and it started like I guess a lot of these on my list do the same thing, but it's started like a whole new kind of subgenre of these fun Home Alone-esque kind of movies. We were talking earlier about little kid actors, and he is just the cutest little button. You're running around, and it's so sad as well. Kind of deals with depression in a different aspect, that he gets left alone and his family goes on vacation without him. I don't know what I would do in that situation. My last thing about this movie is just my favorite part is when he's putting on the aftershave and slaps his face and screams. That's one of the memorable movie moments in my life. So any thoughts on Home Alone?
Yeah, another movie that's actually really, really well executed, because we have like the first moment where he's like home alone, he's kind of having fun by himself, being in his house alone, and then we incorporate this story with the robbers towards the end of the movie, and it becomes even like more fun somehow. And yeah, it's not on my list, but Home Alone is a movie that I as well really, really enjoy and will usually watch once every holiday season. So that being said, we'll move into my number 4, which is A Christmas Story, which is a coming-of-age tale. And it was made, I think, in 81, I believe. But it tells the story of little Ralphie, who more than anything wants a BB gun for Christmas, and it's kind of like his misadventures of trying to get this like crazy holy grail of a gift to him. And this movie is so iconic. It is so iconic. There's so many great scenes: the tongue frozen on the pole, the lamp, the fudge scene. There's so many great things in this movie that I just couldn't not mention it on the list. And has probably the best on-screen movie bully of all time. So I love this movie. Have you seen this one? Is this on your list? Do you like this movie?
It's actually not on my list, though I kind of felt obligated to put it on my list because it is iconic and everybody always talks about it. I'll admit, I saw it for the first time probably 6 years ago, and that was the only time that I've watched it all the way through. I've only seen it once, but I've seen bits over and over and over. And it's just like you're talking about with the licking the pole and the fudge and all those iconic scenes I've seen over and over and over. And people wear shirts, and it's become such a I want to say cult classic, but it's not a cult. I mean, it's worldwide. Everybody likes this movie. So I felt like I should put it on there, but I honestly, maybe I haven't watched it again recently because it's such a big deal to everyone, and I'm just like, meh. I'm not going to give in.
You're the hipster who doesn't want to like the movie. The bully's name, by the way, is Scut Farkus, which is the best name of any like movie bully ever. So yeah, Christmas Story, guys, great movie that everybody should check out. So Ryan, let's get into your number 3 on your list.
All right, so my number 3 is going to be 2 parts. The real number 3 for me is The Grinch, the animated version right here. But I do want to mention the live action one, the Jim Carrey one. because I did like that one. I know I'm in the minority. I don't think it's a good movie, but I got a lot of chuckles out of it, and it's one that me and my friends have been able to quote time and time again, just as a stupid humor. But like everything that I've been saying with my list, the ones we've talked about and the ones that we haven't, even your list, they've been similar enough. It's the good thing that these movies do is they tackle the bigger subjects, and they're able to, in an entertaining and not overbearing way, address community and worldwide concerns. And so I think this one does really good at this. The animated one definitely has a lot more message and heart and meaning to it, specifically because it is so similar to the book that Dr. Seuss had. So that one does make it onto my list, whereas the live action one is very watered down. It's more of one of those kooky comedies that they were hoping to capitalize on a well-known IP. So there's not much meaning to it. It's just Jim Carrey doing a Jim Carrey thing. So not really there, but the messages in this one are fantastic. Do you have any thoughts or comments about The Grinch?
That I was just gonna say, I love the animated one. I think it's one of Dr. Seuss's finest creations, and the character of the Grinch is a really, really interesting character in and of itself. Really just interesting, and as you said, heartwarming way that he kind of has his arc in the story
Right.
at the end. And I did not enjoy the live action one. I'm one of the people who did not. I was saying that I kind of feel like the live action one's a fever dream to me. It's kind of just like so many weird stuff happens in that movie. It's really, really weird, actually, when you kind of think of it a little bit. And stylistically, it's weird to me as well.
Right.
But I can see why you'd admire things or kind of find things to like about it, because it's so different from most things you're used to seeing. So
Right.
that's basically all I have to say about The Grinch.
Perfect. Awesome. And one thing that I as well want to touch on with all of these kind of things is these good ones. My family watches a ton of Hallmark Christmas ones, and the ones on our list that I'm noticing, what makes them good movies, not just good Christmas movies, is that they are character studies, and they do have distinct character arcs, whereas the Hallmark ones that are on 24/7 during the holidays are just so flat and generic that you don't care. I mean, judge me if you will, but I connect with the Grinch, and I am a Grinch, and I totally buy into that character, and I follow him, and I'm interested and intrigued by him. And then same with all these that we've been talking about. You see this arc, and that's what hits you, is that it's like, yeah, people can change. Woo! So I love all of these movies that we've been talking about because of that. So that being said, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Die Hard. I promised I was to be talking about another John McTiernan film, and here I am. Here it is. Die Hard is John McTiernan's masterpiece. We've been talking about the execution of these movies, and really there's no better example of a perfectly executed movie than Die Hard, because really what we have is we have a character with John McClane who is really just a normal guy, just a normal average Joe who gets thrown into this situation where he's the only person really there who's equipped to deal with this situation. And he's a normal guy. Before the sequels came around, really, John McClane is just a guy who is stuck in a building with terrorists and does not have shoes. That's literally it with the movie. And the way they kind of like set up the terrorists at the beginning through the first act of the movie, and the way that Bruce Willis kind of is able to give the kind of like rugged, rough around the edges hero is just perfect. So great. And honestly, one of the best Christmas movies ever made. Objectively, everybody agrees. Everybody watches Die Hard, and it's just a really neat movie to have set in the time period of Christmas, in my opinion. Do you like Die Hard?
Yeah. And I'm actually going to talk about it now.
Okay.
Die Hard is actually my number one. And I'm guessing, I'm going out on a limb here, that my number two is your number one. So I'll talk about my number two when we get to your number one.
Okay.
This is my number one. I love this movie. As a movie, like you were saying, it's just so well executed, and just every Christmas, I remember Speed was the first rated R movie I ever watched, and this was the second one. And I just love and endear this movie. It's close to my heart. Alan Rickman, bless his soul, great performance. And I loved what you said, that he was just an ordinary dude that got stuck in a crappy situation. And that's what's made Die Hard so awesome. And it made it a franchise. And then towards the end, they've kind of been messing with the franchise, and there's talks now that the script they're working on is like a prequel.
What?
And
they're making another Die Hard?
They're making another one, and it's a prequel as to like how he got here, but that defeats the whole franchise if you go there.
Yes, it does. It defeats the whole purpose of the first movie is what it does.
Exactly. And that is why it's on my list, is because he was just a dude who got stuck in crappy situation. And I feel like this is a solid movie that could happen at Thanksgiving. It could happen anytime, but it happened at Christmas, and that's what's made it, such a. And I didn't know how many people actually watch this at Christmas. I thought I was pretty much one of the only ones, but talking to a lot of people over the last couple years, this is a Christmas classic.
Yeah, and it is one of the most American Christmas movies ever made. Like guns, killing, all with the contrast of Christmas.
And that's another thing that makes it good, is that it is that contrast. Everyone is so like preachy about Christmas and about loving and stuff, and then you've got this crap going on. Excellent movie. That's my number one. What was your number two? And
my number two is actually going to be A Charlie Brown Christmas. You talked about this one earlier. I think the way you feel about The Grinch is the way I feel about Charlie Brown Christmas. The message of this movie has always really spoken to me, and this is one that I'll watch actually a couple times throughout Christmas just because it's so short. And that's another little flaw I have, is it's a little bit too short. But when you kind of think about it as far as what the movie is trying to do, or the special, I suppose, what this special is trying to do and tell its audience, it really does it perfectly. There's no better way it could have done it. And seeing kind of the way that old animation kind of like holds up compared to new animation, you notice that the kind of like sight gags in these movies they're a lot more drawn out than they are nowadays. With something, a little visual gag that they show you in movies nowadays, it'll only be like a 2-second thing. In Charlie Brown, the original ones, they go on for like 30 minutes. I remember just a couple days ago watching the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and there's a scene where Snoopy fights a lawn chair that goes on for like a minute and 30 seconds. It's like, okay, guys, we get it. He's fighting the lawn chair. It's really funny. And I thought of it nowadays, and I was like, man, people would be so bored with this scene by the time it cut out. But that's part of the charm to it. It's part of the charm of seeing how animation has evolved over the years. And just as I said, the ending where the little tiny tree becomes the beautiful Christmas tree, it's so heartwarming, so great. Charlie Brown Christmas is just a magical little movie.
I'm going to use that to segue into your number one. I think it's got such a. I'm still on my Die Hard picture. A lot of our lists have been classics, and there's just something to that. And with the animation style and the drawn out, it's just an older thing, and a lot of that I don't think ADD America appreciates anymore, and that's why we don't make that anymore. But that's something that I just feel during the holidays. It's so nice to harken back to the way things were, and how methodical and thought out things were, and how well planned, and it was more of a live kind of a stage play performance, it was very drawn out and it was very meaningful and you know, like that. Whereas today it is very fast paced and you don't get as many, like we just talked about Manchester by the Sea. I haven't seen it, but one thing you said was it was very impactful and it hit you. And you don't get much of that anymore because things have to be so quick and hold your attention. These, and what we're moving into here, is It's a Wonderful Life. My number 2, his number 1. That's what this does, is the pacing is on point and it's able to convey all those messages without what movies have to do today, is they have to, if they have a message, they have to throw it in your face so that you get it. This is so subtle, but not like behind you. I don't know how to describe that. It doesn't force anything into you, but you get the message. So this is one of your all-time favorite movies. I want to let you take it from here and talk about It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay, yeah, It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie of all time. That along with Blue Velvet, but I think I like It's a Wonderful Life just this much more maybe. This is a movie that, so when I was young, my sister would watch It's a Wonderful Life. We had the colored version on VHS, and whenever she turned it on, I would roll my eyes and I would leave the room. When I was like 13 years old, I watched It's a Wonderful Life for the first time, and since then it has been what I have told people when they ask me. It's my favorite movie because really this movie has a message in it that hit me like a ton of bricks the first time I saw it. The ending of this movie is perfect. It's the best example of movie magic I think I've ever seen in a movie, and just the feeling you get after you watch it really can't be captured in any other movie. And there are movies that I feel strong emotional connections to, perhaps none greater than this. This is up there with The Elephant Man, Manchester by the Sea. Now there are movies that just sweep over you with emotion, and this one, the characters are a little bit more they're a little bit more movie characters that you can tell they're taking place like in this little magical world. But all of the performance in it, James Stewart, Donna Reed, and even I think Lionel Barrymore as Mr. Potter, they all really bring something to the characters that, especially James Stewart, this is the finest performance he ever had. He really brings such a likability to this character of George Bailey that you genuinely care for everything he's going through in the movie, and you want him to like figure it out and be okay. There's some complaints that people have about the ending of the movie and how the bad guy doesn't get his in the end, and those people completely miss the point of this movie, because it's not about revenge, it's not about the bad guy getting his, it's about a person realizing their self-worth in this world and discovering that and living up to that self-worth, and being a good friend, a good father, a good husband, all of that. It's probably the most powerful movie ever made. It's timeless. This movie will never stop being watched by people. It will live basically forever. I love It's a Wonderful Life. It's my favorite movie. That's basically all I have to say.
Yeah, I love this movie, and I haven't watched it as much as I should, and I was kind of like summing up my thoughts before the episode and thinking about it, and I was like, I mean, I get it, but I need to watch this movie. This is one that it's a classic, and it's one that should be analyzed. Every human being should watch this movie and analyze what it means and what it's trying to get across. I think this movie puts Frank in one of he is one of the best directors who has ever lived, and just an interesting kind of fact that I found out recently about this was when it did come out, it was kind of a flop.
I mean, flop, yep.
Yeah, blockbuster wise, I mean, money wise, it flopped, and that's kind of a pattern that we've seen with a lot of the classic and iconic movies that have gone by, is that they kind of flop and people don't get it, but then later is when it becomes, I mean, it was nominated for 5 Oscars, I think, but didn't win any. But now this is what we talk about. This is one of those movies. Jimmy Stewart nails it. And I think this one is so impactful because how well, like I said, Frank is one of the best directors because how flushed out all the characters are and how well the story is told. And this is one that kind of messes with nonlinear storytelling, and one of the first ones to start kind of flushing that out as well. And so this, as a film, should be respected by everybody, but as a holiday, should be watched by everybody.
So let me ask you one question about this movie. Is your preferred viewing the black and white version or the colored version?
Black and white. Personally, I think I've probably seen this movie 5 times, and I'd probably say 4 of them I think were actually black and white. I saw it once in color, and it was just it was good, but the black and white goes hand in hand with the, like I was saying, it takes its time, it's well paced, and the black and white kind of adds to that element of it being a classic and not modernized, and adds to the whole element. What are kind of your thoughts on that?
Oh, I totally agree. I cannot watch this movie in color. I can't watch it in color. It has to be in black and white for me to view this movie. I have sat through the colored version, and it's cool, but something about the black and white really adds to like the spirit of the movie. And like I said, this is one of those movies where kind of just I let the kind of emotion of the story kind of just sweep over me. And if you're moved by the power of film and you haven't watched this movie, then what are you doing with your life? Like, seriously, what are you doing with your life? Just one of the finest films ever made. And if you don't like this movie, there might be something wrong with you, because everybody should watch this movie and at least be slightly moved by it, I think. So I think that about wraps up our list. Do you have anything else you want to add, Ryan?
No, thank you so much for watching. Like I said a little bit earlier, go ahead and comment down below and let us know what some of your favorite Christmas/holiday, whether it be Thanksgiving or New Year's or whatever, this kind of time of year, what are your favorite movies to watch that highlight the spirit of this time of year? As well as the first week of January, we're doing another Blu-ray giveaway. If you have any suggestions, let us know what you think our prompt should be for that. Until then, go ahead and follow me right here on Twitter and Instagram at Rye_Gordon. I've been tweeting and posting lots of cool stuff. Plus, if you are in the Provo/Utah County area, come see my play. It's The Nuncracker. It's showing at the Provo Covey Center Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays until December 23rd. And I will say we talk about It's a Wonderful Life and Jimmy Stewart in the play. So come and see it just for the holiday seasons. Spencer, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at SpinnyHend or on Instagram, Spencer Henderson, just all one word. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Next week, make sure to tune in. We are going to be talking about Manchester by the Sea and Office Christmas Party. I think that sums it up.
Tuesday as well. Tuesday we are going to be doing a Westworld full season recap, as well as final scores for season 1, because tonight, as you're watching this video, the final episode of the season is airing. So check that out as well if you want to watch that.
Absolutely, guys. Westworld. We're going to have tons of interesting stuff to talk about. It's going to be a great discussion. If you've kept up with it, you do not want to miss our episode on Tuesday. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, bring people along into our community, and most importantly, guys, remember what I said last week about commenting? I want to see comments on this video about your guys' favorite Christmas movies, about what you think of our list of Christmas films, and why we're wrong if you think that we pick the wrong movies, why It's a Wonderful Life isn't good if you are some alien who does not like that movie. I think that's about it. Anything else to add, Ryan?
Nope. We will, in the description of this video, we'll have a link to our audio only podcast if you are interested in that. And we do have some ideas that we're going to be running with the audio only version. So even if you're not into that, go ahead and go there, rate us on iTunes, and let us know what you think of that, because I think we're going to be having some audio only specials as well. So check that out. Until next time, see you guys later.